Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. Just got back from the Atlanta Glacier 2023, for those of y'all listening in the future. Come look me up. I'll be in the old coach's home. And it was a good time. There were some good speakers there. I got to hear Coach Roger Holmes' son make his debut speaking at a coach that got injured and couldn't make it. And they got Riley Holmes, young, very sharp wing T guy. And I went and checked him out and gave his daddy a full report. He did a great job. He sure did. And I also got to hear this guy the next day. That was Friday when I heard Riley. I got to hear Jonathan Thompson from Lee County High School down in South Georgia. It's right above Albany. For those of y'all familiar with South Georgia, the Lee County Trojans have been very good, the last 9, 10 seasons, making some noise in the bigger classifications of Georgia football. And y'all know how competitive, if you don't know, you need to look it up, how competitive South Georgia football is. It's right up the road from Colquitt and Valdosta, which has, of course, Lowndes County and Valdosta High. And then over toward the east on the coast, you got Camden County High School. And all those schools that I just mentioned have won state championships in the last 10 to 20 years. And they all come out of the same area of the state. And Jonathan Thompson got me to thinking. His talk was on using formations, motions, shifts, and unbalance, okay, to leverage defenses. And so that's what got me to thinking. Of course, now when I go to these things, I'm just looking maybe for a tweak here, tweak there. And I got to thinking, how can I use it in what we do, in what's been in my offense and our offense the last 15 years or so. And so when I got home yesterday, I got out the legal pad and I started doodling. And I don't have any video for you today. I just got some diagrams, and this stuff will work. And it works with what we've already talked about on here: running buck from gun, running power from gun, running counter from gun. Let's take a look at it. All right, the first one we're going to look at is we look on my trusty My Just Play program. I highly recommend it. It's money well spent, at least on my account it was. Is this right here, running buck out of an unbalanced formation. We've taken the left tackle and put him over. We used to call this, one year we called it Oregon, over right. Another year we called it Utah. And usually when we did it, we only did it one way. And we would take the tackle and move him over. I always like doing it that way because that gives you an eligible receiver. I don't like doing end over, which was real big back in the day. A lot of split back veer and I formation teams would go end over with twins. And it presents the defense with problems, but it also takes away a receiver because the tackle eligible has been illegal, I think, for all of my career, and I've been doing it nearly 40 years. But here it is with buck right, and you got your tackle over. You got your H attached as a wing. Taking your Z, your slot, put him over on the same side. And of course, you got your wide receiver. So you got a trips look over here, okay? And over here, you got a tight nub, okay? And this is an eligible cat. So what you do is you look at it and you have it set up where your quarterback can make the call. And there's several things he can do. Let's just say he's going to do two things. He's either going to run the buck because they didn't adjust. Look, they got too many people over here. All right, do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That leaves 6 over here on this side, okay? And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Running back makes 7, okay? So, and the mic is kind of in the middle anyway. Now, if they don't adjust, you've got numbers. Now, if the safety comes over right here, that's not the end of the world. He becomes force. Now, you're taking somebody who's used to playing back here. Now, I know when we watch TV, we see a lot of safeties that come down and support for run. But you and I both know that safeties are usually not, especially one high safeties, aren't usually as physical as the ones we'll see on TV on Saturdays and Sundays. They're usually back there to play center field, and they're exactly what their name implies. They're the safety in case somebody breaks through. They may be pretty good open field tacklers, but they're not being real physical, and they're not used to being blocked. Okay, so if they bring him down, that's enough. Some other things too. They leave him in the middle of the field wide open. All right, then you got him as the force. Okay, but if they don't, this is if they don't adjust, you just run buck. Now, notice, those of y'all that follow me, I did not put the back in sidecar. I'm experimenting with some new stuff. I like the idea of putting him in offset, not pistol, not sidecar, but I call this offset, kind of behind the guard. Some people split that guard's outside foot and like one step behind maybe his toes on the quarterback's heels. And this way, you can still run your same side power just by motioning him over. You can always run a trap or a zone because you can get downhill better than you can if you were over here in sidecar, you see. So do it just like this. He'll just go boom, get the ball, and come right there and do his 90-degree cut, and you're running buck. And I really like this because you've got numbers. You've got numbers right here. You can run your offense. All right, now let's look what happens, okay, if they adjust. Well, if they adjust, this is what happens. And what you do, because look, you've only got one eligible over here. So if they flip the outside linebacker, so now they can still play their safety in the middle of the field. Because remember, you've gone tackle over. You haven't gone end over. You've still got as many receivers eligible as you did before you went unbalanced. So by bringing that guy to the middle of the field, it's really opening up your passing game. So if they leave the safety in the middle of the field, they're going to have to flip somebody, either tilt the field with the corner. And I don't think they'll do that, because if they do that, I'm running buck because now the corner is force. Okay. So I'm thinking what they'll do after you crack off buck on them a few times is flip the back and leave the corner over here, since he's used to covering passes anyway, and he's going to cover this backside nub tight end. So when that happens, and I'm not even getting into the passing stuff with you on this. This is just looking at buck, power, and counter. All right. Well, and also quick game. Okay. Because if they do all this funky stuff, you still got quick game, like if they play his butt down in here. All right. So you motion him over, shift him over, and I wouldn't even shift him. I would true motion him so he doesn't come set, maybe snap the ball right in here before he gets to the B gap, and he can go right into his J block. That way they won't be shifting. I doubt very seriously they're going to run this cat over here. And if they do, quarterback throw the quick game. Okay? So that's where you got them. Okay, what are they going to do? Okay, and if they do this to try to balance it up, then come back and run the same cockeyed thing and run the buck because you got numbers. See, I love this stuff. I got to looking at it based on what we normally do with our run game and our attack, and it's perfect. You got your slant or your glance right here with a speed out. These guys got to stay here. So when you motion him over, again, I wouldn't shift him, like just walk him over and get reset. I would true motion, snap it about the time he clears the center's butt, and then run your power right there. And all you got to do is make your call, whatever your power call is. You could just call this formation and do a check with me. Now, if you're trying to get them in a bind, I wouldn't shift into this. I would line up in it. Because if you line up regular and then shift into it, you don't know what you're going to get. Unless you've really got good film study and you know what you're going to get, or you're trying to get them misaligned through a line up and then shift kind of deal, then sure, go ahead and try that. But from my way of thinking, I think line up in it right now. Let's see what they're in, and then we're going to run buck, power, or counter. Okay, I've got it drawn up against an odd front too. All right, now here it is versus the odd front, like I said, but notice the defense. They didn't shift. Now, this is what you might get the first time you ever do it. against a 3-3 stack, 3-5 team. Okay. The first time you do it, this is what you might get. Okay. Now, if it's like early in the season and nobody's done anything like this, it's kind of it's a dice roll. Okay. You're just rolling the dice. But remember, you've got options. You've got quick game, you've got buck, you've got power, and you've got counter, especially if you got a quarterback that can run it off of the buck action. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm just showing you this is the buck versus the odd front. And notice I'm pulling the tackle because that's what I like doing against the odd front on my buck. All right, you got a tight end, so you got a four-man surface over here, counting your wing, your H. And this is, they don't line up at all because now they've got 6 guys back here. This is a wet dream for an offensive coordinator. All right, 2, 4, 6. That leaves 5 over here. And really, the free's not involved in the run game because he's back deep. So they got 4 guys to play buck. They want, now here's what I say. If you get this, you got to have a call that says run it again right now. Run it again right now, whatever that call is. Okay? You know, this is not my call, but we used to joke about this is what Peyton Manning meant. Omaha, line right up and run it again until they call a timeout or get right. Because you've got them in a bind. If you don't check out the first time, let's say that free safety makes the tackle, line right back up and do it again. Same side, same formation, everything. Just go. Okay, because you've got them in a bind. Okay, make that guy call a timeout, then come right back and do it again, and then go against their adjustment. And I'll show you what to do right here. All right. If they call their timeout, they adjust it. Let's say you don't want to run same side power. You don't want to shift your H or motion your H back over. You want to stay right here. Well, you just ran buck and you cracked it off because you're running buck against a 4-man side because they had 6 stuck over here. Well, they come back out. Now they flip the linebacker. Excuse me. Now they got 2 linebackers over here, 2 outside linebackers. So they give you kind of a 5-man line because they got that one walked up there playing a 9, and this guy out here being your hole player. Now your corner is back a little bit so he can still play a pass from your nub tight end, and you got your free still in the middle field. That's not a horrible defense, okay? Now, so what do? You fake the buck to your tail, and you run your GH counter, your ghost counter, G and H counter. Okay, got to pull a kick right there. And you've got good numbers because look, you got 1, 2, 3, and you got a guy that has to support on run. Okay, a guy that has to support on run who doesn't make tackles. And that was the whole, this part of his talk, Coach Thompson's talk, was about making people either force or fit into the run game that don't normally do it. And he had video after video, several years of it, going back several years, showing corners, good corners, those that went on and played college football corners because they're good cover guys, turning down opportunities to make tackles, okay, or giving weak-hearted efforts at making tackles because that's not what they do. Now, sure, they'll tackle a guy on a hitch, they'll tackle a guy on a curl, they'll tackle a guy after a catch. But when you're talking about running backs coming downhill at them, usually that's not the case. Okay, it's becoming more and more like that too, with the proliferation of the passing game, and they putting the priority on corners that can cover and not necessarily being real physical. Because I remember back in the day when corners were like outside linebackers playing against the triple option. All right, so you come back, they adjust, you come back and run this, and you just have a call. Okay, and you don't even have to have a call for your quick game. Just have these guys doing it every time. Let your quarterback say, "Hey, dude, I'm throwing it. This is a me call." And those of y'all that are subscribers and watched a bunch of the videos here on Football Talk with Coach Chip know what I'm talking about. I have my quarterback talk to the tailback every snap. If he just looks over there and says, "All right, guys, let's get it done." Okay, whatever. Because that way, when something's up, the defense doesn't know, hey, he's talking to the tailback, something's up. You can watch tape after tape of us, play after play, game after game, and you'll see that quarterback talking to that tailback. Okay, and sometimes it matters, and sometimes it's just like, "What's up?" All right, and that's something we talk about all the time. So you can just throw this right here if this guy is not out here where he can play it. Okay, if he's in here or he's still over there, okay, You still got your quick game, and it's whatever concept you want. I just drew this one up. It could be whatever quick game concept, and you go back and look at some of our quick game stuff. All right, let's look at one or two more right here. Yeah. All right, coaches, this is what I wanted to show you and get it all right here in front of you where you can screenshot it and then reduce it, crop it, ever how you want to. It's everything we talked about. All right, here's the power versus the 3-3. And the reason you're running power is because they flipped the backer. Now they can better defend the buck, but they cannot defend the power as well. So you motion the H and run your power. All right, now here you see the buck where they didn't flip the outside backer, but they spun the safety down pre-snap. Now you got a safety that's got to play force. Okay, and you can even RPO this one, same side RPO it. If that safety comes flying up right here, you can throw that speed out. Or you can just, safety comes flying up, look at the corner, who'd he take? And then you throw the other one, because there's nobody in the middle of the field. If that corner jumps the speed out, the glance is going to check out. You can RPO that one, or you can quick game it. It's up to you. All right, now over here, they adjusted, but they left the box intact. Okay, they didn't flip the backer. They just brought the safety over. Okay, I'd still run buck. Okay, the only time I would power it is when they flip that backer. Now down here's the even front, same play as here, same side power. Okay, they flip the outside backer to balance up. Okay, to counteract what you've done with your unbalanced trips. Okay, so you just motion him over and run your power. Let your HJ block on the end, making that corner play run. Okay, they don't like it. And then here you see the buck, okay, because they didn't flip the backer, but they spun the safety down, okay? All right, and here's what they didn't do anything at all except bring the safety over the trips. And both these are buck. All right, last thing, and this was the quarterback counter. If you don't want to motion your H over and just stay in this formation, fake the buck and run right here. And all these are check with me calls at the line of scrimmage. Okay? All right, coaches, that's it for just this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. All right, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends about it. If you have any questions about this video or any of the other videos on the Football Talk with Coach Chip channel, please hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Chip Siegel. Notice how I spell Siegel. And also you can hit me up if you like Facebook. I got Football Talk with Coach Chip page on Facebook, and I visit that thing pretty much once, twice a day just to check to see what's out there. And I check my email first thing every morning. And I have a saying, if I have it and you don't, it's because you didn't ask. All right. Until next time. Hey, y'all, be elite.